Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another day. Excuse me. And if you're catching this on the replay, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're all doing well. Uh, just to give you guys a recap, we're doing 15 minutes now of meditation, and I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they're new to meditation, and you know, I had it was just really strong in them that it was going to be really important for them to integrate everything that they're learning. And the only way to do that is to empty out the old. And you can do that through meditation, is just um, releasing mental stagnation through meditation. At least that's what was coming through for them, and also what I've experienced. So, for those of you who are doing this practice or other meditation practices, like, I hope you're proud of yourself, because you're assisting yourself in the integration of all the energies that are online right now, that we're coming into, and as a collective, you're opening yourself up to that new energy, and really assisting in the tipping of the scales, into from the, unhealthy polarity to, starting to get to that balance where a lot of us are on the trajectory to balance out the mind, balance out the heart. And so by doing meditation practices, doing self-care, doing self-love, care for others, opening your heart to others and their journey, and without judgment, you're assisting in tipping those scales. So it's just a really important time in our evolution as a species, and just be proud of yourself for being in tune with that energy and knowing, like, something's off in me. I might not be able to tell you what exactly it is, type of thing, or explain it, but there's something off, and I just want to dive into what's going on with me, try other practices. And the bottom line is that you're connected. You are um, getting those kind of like spidey senses, and it's like, oh, I got to try this, I got to explore this. And yeah, you might think that it's, oh, there's a mosquito. Get away, mosquito. You might think that it's just thoughts in your head, or a trend type of thing. It's a trend for a reason. It's because a lot of us are heightening our states of consciousness, and we're moving more into, I just keep getting the scales are tipping, and it's gonna be a beautiful thing. I wrote about it in a blog, mm, I think in 2020, and when my blogs, or when I write, I don't have an agenda. I just write with what comes out. And it was talking about the Great Awakening, and I had no idea what that was going to look like. I just knew what I was writing about. And I shouldn't say I was writing about, but what was channeling through me. And it's like I'm starting to see what that meant. Um, it's really interesting. So if you ever are bored and have, want something to read, something different, check out my blog on my website. And it's called The Great Awakening. I haven't written in a while, and that's not true. I've written a lot, but I haven't edited those blogs. So we'll see. It's been a lot this year to hunker down and say, this is what I'm gonna do. A lot of energies, a lot of exhaustion, and that's part of this rising in consciousness. There are so many birds out here that are like getting sassy with each other, feeding their babies. I've been staring at a woodpecker who has babies in a saguaro, and she's just coming to feed her babies, and they're like, chirping all loud. And now there's birds like all over the place. It's wild. So it's very lively and active today. So anyway, so we're gonna get into it, and as you can tell, I'm a little bit low energy today. Um, it's just something that my body is going through, moving through, and so it just reminds me of, it's not necessarily about motivation to get something done. It's about consistency. And sometimes you might not be called to do something, but the more you're consistent, that's where the growth comes. And that's something that I've been telling myself lately, like, okay, I gotta wake up, I gotta do this, I gotta stay consistent, and it's gonna help me, it's gonna help others. So just something to think about in whatever you're practicing. All right. Go ahead and get comfy. Make any bodily adjustments you may need to make. And just really start thinking about what your intention is for this session. Is your intention to be compassionate with yourself as you go through the stillness when I'm quiet? What does that mean to you, being compassionate in stillness? Maybe it's just being patient in stillness and just knowing that, this is a journey of learning about why you might not like stillness. So think about your intention for a moment as I get a little glance at the moon that's still up with us. Take a little drink. It's funny how things just kind of, when you're outside, like leaves just kind of fall in. All right. Go ahead and, I don't want to do the squeezing one. My lower back won't allow it today. But if you'd like to, you're more than welcome. Gosh, I cannot get over how active it is right now. You're more than welcome to do the squeezing practice. I'm going to do a different practice. So you're welcome to do that as well, where you gaze out when you find a point that you want to look at. And you just stare at that point. And just getting in tune with the breath as you gaze out, and just holding that vision. Even if there's, like in my situation, critters coming into my yard or flying around it, and maybe I want to look, but in my peripherals I can see them moving. I just am keeping a still gaze. And just tune in with the breath. Notice what it feels like with the eyes open. Just be mindful. How does this feel with my eyes open, staring at a single area without moving? What happens to my gaze? What happens to my vision? What happens to the body? And like in my situation, it's really interesting how I logically know not to move, and yet, like on a primal level, the body or the eyes just shifted because that's what the body is naturally used to doing, staying in alert. Taking in a deep breath and releasing and closing the eyes. And now becoming aware of how you respond differently now that the eyes are closed. Now that you have turned off one of your senses, what others heighten? Rolling those eyes to the horizon, checking in with the eyes and making sure that even though they're closed, you can move them up and down. You can raise them as if you're looking out at a mountain view, an ocean view. Whatever view you're called to. And bringing energy into that third eye area, the center of the forehead, the center of the brain. Almost as if with every breath, you're pulling energy into the body, through the nostrils, breathing it in. And with every inhale, you're bringing in energy into that third eye. And just notice what it feels like to draw that energy in, almost as if you're, again, pulling up from the ground and into the lungs, but most importantly into the center of the mind. As if the center of the mind has its own breathing mechanism, its own charging center. And with every inhale, you notice that battery percentage going up. And just see, envision, or imagine, whatever works for you. Just notice where that battery started. Did it start at negative? Did it start at 0%? Maybe it started at 76%, even for some of you, 100. And maybe for those that are at the 100 level, this is just like plugging in overnight. You're just maintaining that 100 percentage. It doesn't matter. What's good and right with you is perfect. just allowing distractions to be there with you. Remember, you're the one that has free will choice on where you want to focus. So where do you focus? Wherever you put your focus on can take you into that alpha brainwave, to that lower meditative brainwave. And in the stillness where my voice wasn't speaking, what did you experience? Maybe it was peace and comfort. Or maybe it was discomfort. And if there is an uncomfortable feeling in stillness, deeply breathe, bringing in deeper inhales and exhales. And just witness the body. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, that when a plane flew by, it starts off quiet, and then there's a buildup of noise of that airplane getting closer, that discomfort getting stronger. Continue to breathe in that discomfort. That buildup is the subconscious mind wanting you to pay attention. Pay attention to me. What is that emotion that arises? Maybe it's anger. Maybe frustration, annoyed. And just let it build up as you deeply breathe, breathing out that discomfort, getting in control, redirecting that child to love, reminding yourself that you're here, not abandoning yourself. You're going to stay with this, comforting yourself and allowing that dis-ease to move out with every breath. And before you know it, just like that airplane, it moves away. The sound dissipates, clears, and goes away from you. And it's moved out of the body. And you recognize that maybe all that was required was the inner child asking for love. Don't abandon me. Notice this. Recognize this. And maybe for some of you, that brought up a lot of emotion. Allow it to release, tears flowing. Notice if the chest was pounding. And now with every breath, you can release discomfort. Notice how you're experiencing this. How you're experiencing that recognition, that realization. For some of you, it could have been quite profound. You can easily come back into that space. Into this comfort. Just by simply breathing and scanning the body. Where did that impact me most? Did my head tighten? My mind tighten? Did my throat tighten? Or chest? Wherever it is, remind yourself that this is a clue into where I experience that emotion, that discomfort. And so if I ever were to feel this again, I recognize that I'm feeling that emotion. And I don't abandon it. I take time to acknowledge it and do some self-care practicing. Some self-love practice. Whether that's maybe going for a walk or just breathing, whatever that is. Be proud that you recognized it. And you're welcome to slowly come back into the present moment, into the physical space. Or you can stay with your eyes closed for as long as you'd like. But remember to set the intention for the rest of your day or night. And I'll see you tomorrow. Make sure to like, thumbs up, comment, share these videos, and subscribe so that others who might need this support during this time or who just don't know where to begin can follow along with this series and maybe get a little insight into what they never knew about themselves or whatever. So take care, everyone. Love and light.